Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic Young Classics. This is episode number 1663 and Doubleshot number 1557. I have basically one Marvel trade, one DC trade. Now, this first trade, I technically have reviewed a trade for this series. And you're thinking, when the heck did you do for this one? I'm going to show off just a minute. Just basically look up right here. Yeah, I did a review of let's see, this was a while ago. Maybe the video got taken out by mistake. It's possible to say the least because I'm not finding it for some reason. But I did review it for the AVX companion. Yep. Well, the AVX tie-in issues, mind you. This is the first click issue from this series, Avengers Academy, permanent record, a book I picked up from Comic-Con. Now, this book, surprisingly, the first issue of this book came out almost 12 years ago. You're thinking, really? It's almost 12 years this book came out? Yes, and surprisingly, this book was not a long-running book. Now, I love this book. It was one of my favorite books of the last decade. And I was not a fan of the fact that Marvel ended this book after only 39 issues. You'll get my thoughts on when I get hands in the final trade. This is the very first trade, which collects the first 6 issues of this ongoing series, done by Christos Gage. Yep. Plus, it contains material from Enter the Heroic Age. Now, here's the weird thing about these characters. These are 5 brand new characters, with the exception of the one down here. That's Reptile. He actually made 2 appearances prior to this particular series going on. First was his own debut one-shot. It was called Avengers Initiative featuring Reptile. That was his first appearance. And that was his only appearance for about 4 years. No, seriously, that was his only appearance. After that, he appeared in this short story for Into Heroic Age, and then we have these brand spanking new characters. Who are these characters? This is Hazmat. She made her debut this other series. This guy here with the white streak in his hair, his name is Stryker. This here is Jacusta. It's Fenice. Fenice is allegedly, get this, the daughter of the Taskmaster. Yep, but they've not proven it yet. It's been alleged for a long time, the fact that she's a daughter of Taskmaster, but they never actually proved it all. There's Vale. This here is Mateo. Yeah, a guy with basically metal skin. Yeah, they explained in the flashback he was actually a black guy before he became this. And when he was at the beach one day, he swam, and all of a sudden his skin started falling off, and now he's like this now. In the case of Hazmat, she and Vale were experimented upon by Norman Osborn. Yep, a lot of these kids were kidnapped by Norman Osborn, and with the exception of Reptile, he was who he wasn't, but a lot of the kids were, with the exception of Reptile and Mateo, a lot of these characters were captured and experimented by Norman Osborn, and at the events of Siege, they became students of Avengers Academy. Which, I should point out though, the school was originally based out of the Infinite Avengers Mansion, which this was a creation of Dan Slott, and this is a sort of a semi-continuation of that and Avengers Initiative. Yeah, this is continuing the same idea of Avengers Initiative, train next generation of superheroes, which I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. I think that's a brilliant idea. And the instructors are right here on the back of the trade. We have Hank Pym, who at this point was calling himself the Wasp, though not long after he went back being Giant Man. Quicksilver, Speedball, I'll get to in a minute, Tigra, and Justice. Jacasta's here too, but she does not have any lines because occasionally when she shows up, she's usually possessed by her husband, Ultron. Yep, she is. For some strange reason, she is. It's not clearly explained why. Now, if you're curious to when this marriage again happened, this actually happened in the final couple issues of Mighty Avengers Volume 1. Yeah, Dan Slott did this as sort of a Siege tie-in. Yeah, while everybody else was dealing with the events of Siege, Hank Pym was marrying off Ultron and Jocasta. And one thing I love about this series is the many references to Avengers history. Like, they have one issue where they basically form the team in issue 1. That's when the Can first shows up. And Reptile is also named the class leader for a bit until he fights a suit villain named Mentalo, a Stan Lee and Jack Kirby character who made his first appearance in the pages of Strange Tales. They also have a fight with frickin' Whirlwind, who's no enemy of Hank Pym, who goes after Hank Pym because of Janet Van Dyne's death. Yes, this was that period of time when Janet Van Dyne was still dead. At this point in time, she had been dead for 2 years. She actually comes back 2 years later in the final story arc of Avengers. Yes, during that last story arc, just before the book got relaunched under Jonathan Hickman. Vale herself, it's revealed in this book that she actually has a crush on Justice until she catches him with Ultra Girl, which he claims is a friend of his, even though they're dating. They do bring up the fact he was engaged to Firestar. I have heard 2 very different stories exactly why the heck the relationship ended, or at least why the marriage was called off. One was because they claimed to be too young. Another was because her powers prevented her from having children. Yes, that's 2 contract different stories of why the marriage was called off. I think because at the time, some people at Marvel just didn't want these two to get married for some reason, despite the fact that, here's the thing, the relationship was set up in the pages of the original New Warriors comic book. Oh, and if you're listening about Speedball in here, yeah, when he first introduced himself, he almost introduced himself as Penance. Yes, there is a reason why for that, because after the events of Civil War 1, he decided to put on this ridiculous metal suit, call himself Penance, and give Sting 500 times a day for every single victim of the Stanford disaster. Yes, seriously. And eventually he got a lighter suit, and in the Penance Relentless miniseries, he actually went after the guy who actually caused Civil War 1. Second part is new, by the way. He captured him, put him in the same suit, and he got a different suit. Same looking suit, but less stingy. He actually kept the helmet from the suit, and he's been cutting himself. Yes, Speedball has been cutting himself. Yeah, I wonder how Steve Ditko felt about this, basically having one of his characters being disrespected like this. I don't know if he cared, because he wasn't much into Marvel at this point, because the last time he was working with Marvel was back in like the early 90s. Prior to this. I don't know if he really cared, or he just... I don't know, because I have never met Steve Ditko, because he passed away 4 years ago. Now, in the case of Stryker, he hits on both women, and he ends up briefly trying to start a relationship with Fenice. The way she's drawn here out of her mask, she looks a lot like Daisy Johnson. I am not kidding about that. The artist draws her like Daisy Johnson. Not really sure why. Vale herself ends up basically sleeping with him, though she apparently can turn into a mist. Yep. Also, Fenice actually blackmails Quicksilver over what happened in the pages of Mighty Avengers and in Realm of Kings and Humans, where he returned Terrigen crystals he stole and claimed it wasn't him, it was a Skrull. So Fenice blackmailed him. And he thought, oh. And the way it's implied here is that Quicksilver thinks that she's blackmailing him to have sex. Nope, not that at all. She is not interested at all, especially since Quicksilver is much older than she is. What she wants is private lessons with him. What these private lessons entail, I don't know. Well, not exactly per se. It's mostly the way she describes it is that she wants Quicksilver to teach her what Magneto taught him when he was part of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Yep. trying to think what else here. Oh yeah, also there's a few issues where they go to the raft. Yes, the raft. Why do they go to the raft, you say? Well, they're there because they want to pay a visit to the Thunderbolts. Yeah, I forgot to jump back on. Yeah, pay visits to the Thunderbolts of all people. And the reason why they're there, because these kids want to do one thing and one thing only. Kill Norman Osborn. And there's a guest appearance here by Luke Cage. I think it was Reptile who wanted to basically overcome the grief what he did to Mento. So they do mention that Doc Samson is no longer alive. And they say, Moonstone's Moonstone. So I can't trust her. Doc Samson's no longer alive. And I'm thinking, what, you can't contact any other psychiatrist? And I thought, oh, send him to Jessica Jones. And she's like, hi, I'm Jessica Jones. I used to be known as the superhero Jew. And Reptile's like, oh, you're Luke Cage's wife. And I'm surprised he also say, Luke Cage is lucky guy to be married to you. Because you're a beautiful woman. Because no, Jessica Jones is a beautiful woman. And she's the mother of Luke Cage's only child. Yeah, they have one kid together. Still to this day, only one kid. I think the daughter, Danielle, I think she's like 2 or 3. And here's the thing. The character made her debut back in 2004. And it's been like 18 years since this character showed up, and she's barely aged. She's not in the book, by the way, in case you're wondering. There's also a guest appearance by Commander Stephen Rogers. Yes, remember when this happened? When he basically, when the suit he wore in Captain America Civil War, where it's all blue suit with a silver star, who actually has his own miniseries published this period of time by Ed Brubaker. Yeah. But I gotta say, this actually was a great start to this particular run. And there's something that's happened the very next issue, which I will discuss when I discuss Volume 2. I'm going to give this book a 10 out of 10. It's really damn good. The artwork in here is done by 2 artists, Michael McCone, which I think he does a lot of the artwork in here, and Jorge Molina, who does issue number 5. The cover art is mostly by Mike McCone, and I love this artwork. And I actually do not agree with the cancellation of this series because there's so much potential. Oh, in case you're curious, though, what is the current fate of the Avengers Academy? It closed. It was explained in a tie-in for Empire. That apparently closed some time ago. And I believe one of the students bought the second location, which I'll get to that when I get to that next trade. I have discussed the AVX tie-in, where they were at that second location. And I will discuss which location it is. And if you're curious to what happened in Avengers Mansion, I'll discuss that when I discuss that third trade I have, which actually is the 4th trade. Alright, moving on to this book here. This is Batman Dark Detective, written by Steve Englehart. And artwork by Marsha Rogers. And of course, Terry Austin's on here too. Which, not a bad idea. I love this creative team. Terry Austin is the inker for this book. Now, it's basically a story featuring Batman and Silver Screen Clown, one of many stories featuring these 2 characters. But there's guest appearance in this book by these following villains. The Joker, which, that's obvious. There's also Scarecrow and Two-Face. And I love Marshall Rogers, what he does with this. Like, he references in here the Penny Plunderers, which I think was so awesome. The fact he referenced that obscure story. Yeah, in case you don't know what the heck the Penny Plunderers case is, there was this one-shot villain who actually appeared in another issue. He actually appeared in I think it was like Two-Face Year 1 post-crisis. He's known as the Penny Plunderer. He had this thing, he has obsession with pennies. Yes. And he made this giant penny in order to kill Batman. He kept it as basically a trophy. Also, apparently Batman had, get this, Silver St. Cloud's shoe for some reason. He says, oh yeah, despite the fact this is his trophy room, he first said not a trophy room but something else. But I love what he does here. It's mostly about a government, it's about an election, which doesn't really go anywhere, but I love the artwork in here. Let me show off the Batcave in here, which is so awesome. And by the way, we actually have Batman, Bruce Wayne himself, showing Silver St. Cloud, one of his many girlfriends. By the way, also, he sleeps with her twice in this miniseries. Oh yeah, he does. Do you know how I can tell? Him taking off her clothes. That's how I can tell. But yeah, this was a really good miniseries. I do recommend this if you're a fan of Steve Englehart, and mainly if you're a fan of the Strange Apparitions storyline. Yeah, this is just another story featuring that particular creative team. Yeah, there's also this one panel where Silver left her robe open, but it doesn't go down all the way. But yeah, it is very implied after this one time that she and Bruce basically already did do it, and the first time it did was in the Batcave. But yeah, I appreciate though that Steve Englehart has a lot of respect for Batman. Oh yeah, I love it. Like, here's a 2-page spread of the Batcave. It's so awesome. The dinosaurs from a Golden Age story, but it's just a really good spread. I love it. This is another book I give a 10 out of 10. Just really damn good. If I remember correctly, I think this book came out in the 80s. Now, here's a surprise. I've never read this miniseries before prior to getting my hands on this trade. Yeah, never before. This came out originally in, I think it was like 2000. Let me take a look here. Let's see. This was released in 2005. Yeah, 2005. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but in case you're curious to what's the current fate of Silver St. Cloud, she's no longer alive. All pre-Flashpoint version of her, she died in the final issue of Batman Winding Gur, a book that's been on hiatus for over a decade. Because allegedly it was supposed to be 12 issues, but yeah, they actually never solved it at all. It's by far one of the most baffling things related to Silver St. Cloud. And you might be asking, Nick, does Silver St. Cloud exist in the current continuity of DC Comics? She does, but she's not made an appearance yet. Yeah. I mean, the thing with Silver St. Cloud is she's by far, appearance-wise, she reminds me a lot of the Black Cat from Marvel Comics. Because of the platinum blonde hair. Yes. But currently, she has not made a return just yet. No, not really. Prior to the story, she appeared in a story known as Siege from the pages of Legend Dark Knight. I mean, first appearance was in Strange Apparitions Siege in this book, and then Winding Gur, and that's it. That's all basically they did with the character. Yeah, they actually. She's made one appearance in the comics, in animation. She appeared in Batman Soundtrack. I have not seen this movie yet, but it sounds so interesting to see this. Mm-hmm. Yep. But not much to say about these two trades. Both really good. And, well, I do recommend checking them out. Just both really good trades. And my next comic corner will feature 2 more trades by Avengers Academy. And don't worry, more trades coming soon, okay? See you next video. Bye.